I want to tell you something that I have not said publicly before. A few months ago, I was sitting in a level 10 meeting with Nicole, my COO, going through my calendar and my commitments. We could both see it. We did not have to say it out loud right away. It was just there in the numbers, in the schedule, in the pattern of where my time was going and what the next 6 months looked like if nothing was going to change. There was not enough of me to go around. I was showing up in client delivery. I was driving business development. I was present in strategy sessions with every single client, every month, every quarter. And the business was growing, which meant the problem was getting bigger, not smaller. And one of those things had to give. And figuring out which one and what it would require actually of me to let it go has been some of the most important work that I have done as a leader in years. And so this episode is not a lesson I have already learned. It is one I am in the middle of right now. And I think that is exactly why it is worth sharing. Welcome back to the COO Solution Podcast, the missing piece to scaling your business with ease. And I am your host, Derek Fredrickson. And today we are talking about what it actually takes to lead long-term, not just to survive the next quarter, but to build a leadership life that is genuinely sustainable without sacrificing the ambition that got you here. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Derek Fredrickson. Welcome to the COO Solution Podcast, the show for business owners and visionary leaders who want to scale with clarity, confidence, and the right support. For over 16 years, I've been in the trenches as a fractional COO, Chief Operating Officer, helping entrepreneurs align their teams, streamline operations, and remove bottlenecks that slow growth. I understand the challenges, feeling overwhelmed, stretched too thin, or uncertain about how to scale without burning out. I've helped business owners move from chaos to clarity, creating businesses that run smoothly and grow and scale. Each week, I'll bring you real-world insights, proven strategies, and practical solutions to help you step into your highest role as a leader. Whether it's optimizing your team, strengthening accountability, or building the right systems for growth, this podcast is here to support you in scaling smarter. So if you're ready to create a business that thrives without requiring more of you, let's get started. Here is what I have learned about founder burnout after 16 years of being inside scaling businesses and 2 years of building my own. Burnout is not a workload problem. It is a structural problem. Most founders who burn out are not burning out because they work hard. They are burning out because the business is still running through them personally, through their energy, through their presence, their direct involvement, rather than through the systems, the team, and the operating model that should be carrying that weight independently. And the insidious thing about that pattern is that it feels like value. It feels like being useful. It feels like the business cannot afford for you to step back because things will drop if you do. And I know what that feels like because I have been running that pattern inside my own business. And I built the COO Solution around the belief that when I was present in the strategy session, in the client relationship, in the monthly review, the quality was higher and the client got more value. And that belief was probably true in the early days. In year 1 and year 2, my direct involvement was the product. But what was true in year 1 will become a ceiling in year 3. And the ceiling is me. That calendar conversation with Nicole was not a dramatic moment. There was no crisis. The business was not failing, but we could both see clearly and specifically where the model would break. Listen, business development requires my presence. Client delivery requires my presence. The business is growing. The math does not work. Something has to change. And the hardest part of that conversation was not identifying the problem. It was admitting what was underneath it. And the reason I had stayed so present in delivery for so long was not that the COOs on my team needed me. It was because I did not fully trust that the model would hold without me, that the COOs would do it like me, that the quality would be the same, that the clients would feel as supported. That is not a delivery problem. That is a trust problem. And until I named it as a trust problem, I could not fix it. So I want to name something that does not get said enough in these types of conversations about burnout. The adrenaline feels good, the urgency, the being needed, the sense that your presence is what is holding everything together. There is something in that pattern that is deeply satisfying to a certain kind of founder. And I am that kind of founder. I built my entire professional identity around being the person who made things work, the COO, the second in command, the one who held it all together. That was my value for 16 years before I started TCS. And when I built TCS, I brought that same wiring with me. I just pointed it at my own business instead of somebody else's. But the problem is that when you are wired that way, staying close to the work does not feel like a problem. It feels like how you add value. You tell yourself that your involvement makes things better, that stepping back would hurt the client, that the COO can handle the day-to-day, but the strategy needs you. And some of that is true, but a lot of it is identity dressed up as quality control. And the moment that I could see the distinction between what the client actually needed from me and what I needed from being involved was the moment the shift became really possible. Because here is the honest truth. The client does not need me in every single session. The COO does not need me to validate their work. What they need is a model that is clear, a COO who is trusted and experienced and empowered, and a founder who shows up with intention when it actually matters rather than by default because I have not built any other way of operating. Running on adrenaline feels like leadership, but leading with intention actually is. So what is changing? Not in theory, but in practice. In the original TCS model, I was present from day one to indefinitely. Every client engagement included me in the monthly and the quarterly strategy sessions. I was the constant. The COO was, yes, the day-to-day operator, and I was the strategic overlay that never went away. That model worked, and it was not sustainable. What we are building now is a model where my involvement is deliberately phased. So for example, in the early months of an engagement, I am present, establishing the relationship, setting the strategic direction, making sure that the COO and the client are aligned. And then I phase out. By month 6, the COO is running those sessions. The operating model is holding the cadence. I am available, but I'm not the default. So I can choose when and how to be involved rather than being involved by default in every single thing. That is a different kind of leadership. It requires me to trust the COO more than I've been trusting them. It requires me to be honest that my presence in every session is not always adding. It is sometimes actually limiting because the COO cannot fully own the room when I am also in it. And I have seen this work. I am watching it work right now with one of our clients, a founder named Anna, who runs a dog training and resort business in Houston, Texas. She has been working with one of our COOs, Danielle, for several months now. And Danielle is running everything, the day-to-day, the team, the operational cadence. And Anna is not in the weeds. She is focused on vision, future, and growth. She has stepped fully into the role her business needs her in right now. This is what TCS is supposed to produce for our clients. And it is what I am doing now, building for myself inside my own company. And the irony is not lost on me. I have been coaching founders to step out of the operator seat for 16 years, and I have been sitting in mine the whole time. So let me give you a simple framework for thinking about sustainability that is practical and immediately applicable. There are 3 layers to sustainable leadership, and most founders who burn out have been neglecting all 3 simultaneously. The first layer is what I call structural, okay? This is the layer most founders think about when they think about burnout. The systems, the team, the operating model. That means the business does not run on your personal energy. For me, this means a COO who owns the client relationship after month 6. It means my COO, Nicole, holding the internal operations of TCS, so I'm not the operational center of my own company. And it means business development, getting the focused attention it deserves and needs because I am not simultaneously in delivery. The structural question to ask yourself is this: if I were unavailable for 2 weeks, what would break? And whatever breaks is still running on you. And anything that is still running on you is a structural problem, not a workload problem. You cannot outwork this. You can only outbuild it. Now, the second layer is decisional. This one is quieter, but it compounds faster than almost anything else. Every decision that you make costs something, not just time, cognitive energy, emotional bandwidth, the capacity to think clearly about the things that actually matter. And founders who are present in too many meetings, too many conversations, too many operational details are making dozens of low-value decisions every single week that are quietly eroding their capacity for the high-value decisions. And so the leaders who sustain high performance over years rather than quarters are ruthlessly protective of their decision-making energy. They make fewer decisions. They make better decisions. They make decisions at the right time with the right information rather than reactively in the middle of a meeting that should not have required them at all in the first place. And what I am building right now, this phased involvement model, the COO-led operating cadence, is as much a decisional intervention as it is a structural one. So every session I am no longer in by default is a decision I am no longer making by default. And that capacity goes somewhere better. And lastly, the third layer is personal. And I want to be clear that I'm not talking about wellness advice here. I'm not talking about meditation apps or morning routines or the importance of exercise, although those things are all very important. I'm talking about the non-negotiable inputs that allow you to lead at your best over the long haul. Sleep, recovery, time to think without an agenda, physical capacity, the things that are not optional if you want to be good at this job for another decade rather than just another year. And most founders treat these as a luxury, things they will get to when the business settles down, when the quarter is done, when the next hire is made. But listen, the business does not settle down. The quarter is never done. And the personal inputs that sustain your leadership capacity are exactly as important as the structural and decisional ones, because all three of them are feeding the same thing: your ability to show up as the leader your business needs for the long haul. Here are 3 questions I want you to sit with this week. Don't answer them immediately. I want you to sit with them, okay? First, where are you still the operational ceiling of your own business? Not where you feel the most useful, where you are structurally required. Those are 2 very different things, and the distinction matters. Number 2, what is one structural change you could make in the next 30 days that would begin to shift that? Not necessarily eliminate it, but begin to shift it. The model does not change overnight, but something has to move first. And number 3, what is one personal input you are consistently sacrificing that is quietly costing your leadership quality? You probably already know the answer. So the question is whether you are willing to treat it as seriously as a business decision rather than a personal luxury. I am asking myself all 3 of these questions right now, not from a place of having figured it out, but from a place of being in the middle of it, figuring it out. And that is the most honest version of this conversation that I can give to you. New level, new devil. The sustainability question gets harder as the business grows. What sustains you at 1 million breaks at 5 million. What works at 5 million has to be deliberately rebuilt at 10 million. The game does not get easier, but but the way you play it can get smarter. So the founders who go the distance are not the ones who wanted it the most. They're the ones who built a leadership life they could actually sustain and had the discipline to protect it, even when the urgency of the business pushed back. I am building that right now. And if you are honest with yourself, you probably know whether you need to be building it too. More of the same is more of the same. To want change, be willing to change. Listen, if today's episode gave you something to sit with, hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you know a founder or CEO who is running on adrenaline and starting to feel the cost of it, share this episode with them. It might be the conversation that they need to hear right now. And perhaps if you are also wondering whether your business has the operational and leadership foundation it needs to scale sustainably, take our free quiz at thecoosolution.com. In just a few minutes, you will have a clearer picture of where to focus. And lastly, are you in the middle of a similar shift? Have you already been through this and come out on the other side? Send me a direct message on LinkedIn or reach out at thecoosolution.com. I would genuinely love to hear from you where you are in this journey. That is a wrap on today's episode. I will see you next time on the COO Solution Podcast. And that's a wrap on this episode of the COO Solution Podcast. If you found today's conversation valuable, I'd love it if you could subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to get control of their business and scale it with a second in command that they trust to handle all the daily tasks and operations they don't enjoy. And hey, maybe you're wondering if now is the time to bring on a trusted fractional COO or Chief Operating Officer to help your thriving business scale with clarity and confidence. If you're tired of doing it alone, visit thecoosolution.com and take our free quiz to help determine if now is the right time to bring a fractional COO to help you scale. In just 25 questions, you'll get a personalized report that helps you decide if your business is ready for the game-changing support of a part-time fractional COO. Let's find out together if it's your next step. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, let's roll up our sleeves and get to work.